Welcome back to today's episode of Unapologetic Living. I'm really excited about today's topic. Um, and conversation with Cherie Calbom. She is the author of 36 books,
Yes, 36.
and your most recent one is The Truth About Seed Oils. And I know that's been incredibly controversial. I mean, it still is among the influencers and the individuals out there because I actually, to be honest, well, first, welcome, Cherie.
Thank you. Thank you for
Um,
having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. So about a year ago, I did a conversation, an entire conversation with the gal, and I have to be honest, I never aired her um, conversation, our interview, because she was okay with seed oils. It was like,
Mm.
and I just didn't know that from the information that I had seen on Instagram, as so much of her information is fabulous, but I that one just I was like, I don't know, I could not. Because it didn't resonate. It did not hit home as um, accurate information. And so I decided to not air that episode. So I'm excited because I think this is a really important information to get out there to the community, and the fact that these are so incredibly, I would say, toxic or poisonous to us.
They are. They are very toxic, very poisonous. I'm glad you didn't air that show because there's so much misinformation. People are so confused anyway. But seed oils have a bad history, a dark history, is what I talk about in my new book, The Truth About Seed Oils. And they were never about health. They were originally oils that lubricated machinery. And now we're eating them, which is tragic. But what happened was, turn of the century before last, we had mounds of cotton seeds piling up in the US and rotting, and nobody knew what to do with them. And so that's when they said, well, let's make oil out of them. And they used that oil to lubricate machines. And then a couple of decades later, early 1900s, they said, let's refine this more so we can advertise it, sell it as a cooking oil. Well, to refine it more required more treatment. So high heat was applied like 500 degrees. Toxic chemicals were applied like hexane to get every last little drop of oil out of those seeds. And then other chemicals, deodorizers, neutralizers, bleaching agents. By the time that oil rolled out to a golden, clear, odorless, tasteless oil, it is very toxic. And then we put it in plastic bottles and send it out. And we have microplastics in there as well now. And this is what has been advertised for centuries as heart healthy, the new modern heart healthy oil. Why was it called heart healthy? Because they stepped up production in World War II when the coconut oil shipments couldn't make it through the waters on the ships. And so the seed oil industry saw a great opportunity to take that market. And so they did. With great advertisement, cookbook authors were hired to incorporate this oil into recipes. And it was the era of the new modern cook. And this is the new modern oil. It doesn't need refrigeration, it can just sit on your shelf forever. That should be a red flag right there. But what happened when the war ended? Heart disease showed up big time, heart attacks. So you see before the war, little bar graph of heart attack uh, statistics. And as the war ended and the early 50s, wow, that bar graph is growing and growing. And so everybody wanted to know, why are people suddenly dying of heart attack? The government got involved, scientists, physicists, doctors, autopsies were performed, and lo and behold, they found plaque in the arteries. And they looked at the plaque and found fat and cholesterol in that plaque. So now they have a new lipid hypothesis that was formed. Oh, it's fat and cholesterol that are causing these heart attacks. Well, fat and cholesterol had been eaten for centuries. A few voices of common sense said, wait a minute, we've been eating butter, eggs, cheese, red meat, tallow, lard way back in time, and we didn't have this problem. Why would they all of a sudden cause heart attacks? But the sane voices, the common sense voices got drowned out because there wasn't a money behind that. And so they got pushed to the side, they got demonized, and the lipid hypothesis was born. It's fat and cholesterol causing heart attacks. And you should not be cooking with butter or lard or coconut oil because it does have some saturated fat in it. You should be using the seed oils. And what are the seed oils? Corn, soy, canola, grapeseed, safflower, sunflower, cottonseed oil, rice bran oil, and peanut oil. And those were pushed to the forefront and advertised as heart healthy. And you know what? That teaching is still here, still popular. And have we conquered heart disease, heart attack? No, it's still the number one killer. So we've been on a wrong path for decades. And we're trying to set the record straight.
Well, I think it's great. As a matter of fact, yesterday I went out to eat and I ate at you might have them in Arizona. I'm not sure. It could be a Southeastern franchise. It's called First Watch.
We've got them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So initially, when they opened their first location here, they had on their menu that they were, and I knew they were a chain, but the advertisements are that they used healthy, fresh foods,
Mhm.
farm, like some of their uh, entrees or like their omelets suggests that they use cage-free eggs, which I know this is all very incredibly questionable, right? I've worked in restaurants. I worked in restaurants from 15 to 37 waiting tables, and I know that if there's anything out there that people will skimp on, it's going to be oil because it's an easy way to make food, even high-end restaurants, cheaper.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I know that First Watch is a chain, but it's not a McDonald's. And I they brought out I had the omelet and I had some greens with it, which I tend to go dressingless because there's usually seed oils in dressing and they're laden with calories. But then they asked me if I wanted, and I don't eat a lot of bread. But they're like, we have gluten-free Rudy's toast. I'm like, well, maybe I'll have toast today. Sounded good. Came out, they brought me butter and jam. And of course, there's probably high fructose corn syrup in the jam. But I love butter, especially sourdough bread. Really good butter and sourdough. It's just amazing. And that's not what I was having, but I was like, I was going to indulge in the toast. They bring me this little ramekin of whipped butter. And I saw it and I was like, well, maybe it's really whipped butter. And I decided to ask yesterday if it was 100% butter. And the server didn't know. So she's like, well, is it an allergy? Well, no, it's not an allergy. It's a health concern. I don't
Mhm.
want it if it's not 100% butter.
Mhm.
And she went back and talked to her manager, kitchen manager, and he came out and he had taken a picture of the tub of funk
Yeah, whipped stuff.
whipped stuff. And I can't remember, but the first thing was like some kind of oil and all this, that, and the other. And then at the very end was just a tiny bit of butter.
Hmm.
I was so mad. And I was dining with a friend, and I was really upset about this because I was like, you all are misleading
Yeah,
the public. This is not butter.
right.
And my friend across the way from me. So on Wednesdays, I work with adults with who are neurodivergent with intellectual disabilities and so forth. But he knew that I was upset. He could tell. He's like, "Gosh, you are really upset about this." And I was because I was just like, like I might expect that at a McDonald's.
Yes.
And I'm paying more for this omelet with greens at a restaurant that's claiming to serve me butter, and they're not. Because, it
Mhm.
doesn't cost much, even if it's not organic grass-fed butter. The little Land O'Lakes butter that says 100% butter is still butter.
Yes, that's right.
And I might have put that on my pancakes. They probably give those little squares I get it's in plastics too. Out at McDonald's with 100% butter, I bet.
Yeah, yeah. So you hit on one of my pet peeves, and that's what I'm telling everybody. If you and fine restaurants are doing this now, that whipped stuff that's whipped oil with a little butter, you can always ask your server, do you have some real butter at your restaurant? Sometimes they do have little pats of butter in the back. But that's how we're going to make a change. If lots of people start asking for it, they'll start serving it.
So what made you, I know you also wrote, you said your most popular book, wrote Juicing for Life. So this clearly has been and maybe just healthier eating or holistic living has been an integral part of your life for a minute.
Hmm. For a long time. A
So
long,
what
long time.
so what made you decide to dig into the seed oil, the truth about seed oils?
Well, the start of last year, I was on a committee, a national committee on seed oils, the seed oils committee, and working with Make America Healthy Again at the time. And seed oils is a hot topic. It was then, and it's even hotter now. And looking around, I thought there really needs to be a book
Hmm.
just laying out the facts, the history. What are seed oils? Is there a difference between seed oil and vegetable oil? No, they're the same thing. Vegetable oil is just slick marketing term. There needs to be some recipes, a shopping guide, all of that. So I put together a small, like little booklet, and a publisher bought it. And so it's just been something on my heart that there just really needs to be a book that just brings it all together. So we did that in The Truth About Seed Oils, and we've got it all in there and a lot of information too on the healthy oils and what feeds your brain and why you need omega 3s and why the seed oils are way out of range on omega 6s, creating inflammation in the body. And so it's going to be a tug of war. This is a big money-making industry. The seed oil business is projected to be 600 billion by 2031. So that means that they're not going to go down without a big fight and lots of advertising to say their oils are good, they're better, they're still heart healthy, they're just polyunsaturated oils, and they're rich in linoleic acid, which we all need, and all of that is true. But what they don't tell you is these are toxic oils because of the way they're processed. They're not cold pressed, and then they're in everything because they're cheap, and we're getting a way out of range ratio of omega 6 to omega 3 fats. Well, omega 6 should be maximum 4 to 1 omega 3. The typical diet, even of people that are into health, is more like 15 to 1 to 21 or 22 to 1. That's way out of range. Like, whoa, this boat is sinking on this side, and that's creating a lot of inflammation. And we are an inflamed society. At the root of every condition, whether it's heart disease, cancer, diabetes, fibromyalgia, obesity, even emotional issues, there's inflammation.
Yeah, I know we are incredibly inflamed. I was talking about a friend with that the other day. So you mentioned the linoleic acid, right? And that has a damaging effect or disruptive effect on the gut microbiome. Is that correct?
Well, in the form that we're getting it, for sure, because it's in a toxic form. These polyunsaturated fatty acids, dominated by linoleic acid or fatty acid, is very fragile. So if you look at a chemistry lineup of carbons and hydrogens, and you look at saturated fat, every little bond has a carbon or a hydrogen attached to it. But when you look at polyunsaturates, you'll see double bonds. They look like equal signs. There's nothing attached to those bonds, which means, boom, they can be broken very easily. When they're broken, and it's heat and processing that will break them, and these oils go through terrible adulteration to get to you. So, of course, they're going to break. And when they break, it creates free radicals. And what do free radicals do? They damage your cells. And damaged cells set you up for all sorts of problems, and they create inflammation in the body. They create oxidative stress. When you've got oxidative stress, you've got from head to toe problems going on. Oxidative stress has been implicated in Alzheimer's and dementia. The seed oils and their studies linking seed oils to those conditions, they're also linked to depression, anxiety, and even aggression, and skin problems like acne, eczema, and psoriasis. I could just go on, but we've got the science in our book, The Truth About Seed Oils, linking a whole variety of conditions to seed oils.
Do you find that you get some pushback? Because I know that um, people are still under the, and even with just the cholesterol debate. I had a client the other day, his practitioner, his physician wants him on cholesterol medication because his cholesterol is supposedly high, the LDL in particular. And um, I know that they have changed, they continue to change that goalpost. And I'm not sure, to me, just in my research, and I'm no physician, but just my personal research, it has more to do with you know, some of the plaque with, that is building is more to do with sugar
Yes.
and seed oils. And
Yeah.
it's not your eggs or your ribeye. He's like, I got to get rid of my ribeye. I'm like, I'm not sure that you do. Maybe you do need to look at the quality of your ribeye and the cow in which you're getting your ribeye from. But I don't think that, again, my opinion, that has anything to do with your ribeye and has much more to do with processed foods that are found in seed oils and sugar-laden foods.
You just nailed it. So, uh, I just posted on my Instagram account today the bar that has moved down and down and down and down. So, way back, decades ago, 350 was considered a normal number for
Mm.
cholesterol. It was considered healthy and good. And then the bar moved down to 300. And then it moved down to like 240, 250. And that was considered healthy and good. Then it moved to 200, and now it's moved to 190.
Yeah, I knew it was in the 100s. I thought that. Yeah.
Why is that? It's money. Statin drugs are a huge prescribed drug. So there is a lot of money behind it. I had a professor when I was getting my master's degree in nutrition that said, always follow the money. And you'll see why something's being pushed really hard. We'll follow the money on this. So, what does cause the problem in the arteries? It's the problem in the arteries, the plaque, right, that everybody's concerned about. We don't care. Like one cardiologist said, if cholesterol is moving freely through the arteries, nobody cares. It's when it's sticking and we've got that sticky plaque forming in the arteries, then we care. Then there's a problem. Well, why is it sticking there in the first place? And this cardiologist said in all of the autopsies, the work he's done as a cardiologist, he's seen those arteries. And he said they look inflamed. They look red and irritated, like somebody scrubbed them with a bristle brush. Well, what's going to form over an irritated area, like a cut or a wound, a scab or a plaque? And if we, brush our skin really hard and it bleeds, we're going to get a scab. Well, what's happening in our arteries? We're going to get a plaque buildup. And cholesterol and fat are naturally part of that, part of a scab, part of the internal plaque. And so, what causes that irritation? He nailed it. It's just what you said: sugar and seed oils. And smoking will do that too. And certain chemicals from all this junk food that we're eating will do that as well. So, we have a perfect storm forming for our arteries. But it is not that ribeye steak. People have eaten red meat steaks for centuries and didn't have the problems. Little small bar graph, as I said before World War II, of people that had heart disease or heart attack. And what caused it to jump way out of range? Foods that were inflaming our body. So it's inflammation. And the cardiologists that really seem to be in the know are saying cholesterol is not the measurement that you need as a predictor of heart disease. It's inflammation. What are the measurements? Histamine, LPA, and C protein. C
C-reactive protein.
Thank you. I always mix up the initials. C-reactive protein, CRP. Okay, so those are your measurements that you should ask for. This is what needs to be measured. And it isn't just LDL by itself that is the problem, it's oxidized LDL. Oxidized fats are the problem. Well, how many tests give you that differentiation? I've never heard of one person getting a blood test and coming back and saying, well, they measured my oxidized LDL and it's too high. That's the one you should be concerned about. But I don't know if there's a measurement that the average person could ask for that, but you can ask for histamine and LPA and C reactive protein, CRP. You can ask for those. You might have to pay a little bit out of your pocket, but it's worth it because you'll know if you've got inflammation going on. And what you need to do if you have inflammation going on, and I would say most Americans do, is to cut out the foods that are contributing to that inflammation. Seed oil, sugar, if you smoke, quit, and junk food, fast food, things that are saturated in chemicals.
It's crazy to me. I know that there's so many foods on the shelves that have these ingredients in them. And, in my house, my kids know they always, we've been a butter family, a coconut oil family and lard, I mean, like from lard from that's left over from our bacon, that we bought at the farmer's market and such.
Mhm.
And since they were kids. But growing up, when I tell you, my mother bought parquet margarine. We would have Pop Tarts and you name it. We had all the toaster strudels, all these tasty things. And we would begin our day this way. And we would be pouring this squeezed margarine all over our food. I mean, my mom thought she was doing right by us because that's what they were telling
They
everyone
were.
to do. And
Yes.
we, I remember making our homemade brownies, which we did make homemade brownies, and with the cocoa powder and the flour and the sugar. And we didn't just buy the box until we found Ghirardelli. But even then, go look, read that ingredient panel. But we used vegetable oil.
Yes.
I guess almost everybody did. I mean, and when we were small, occasionally when we were small, I saw cans of Crisco. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
from Kentucky. So, I don't know if that was a staple in most people's homes. I really think it is. And
It
what?
was. It was. It's not so much now because of the trans fats. People
Yeah,
got that
right.
message. So it's not so much now.
But and then there was the whole fat-free craze when I was in high school, right? And all of that was, I'm sure that probably. And so okay, so we're talking like 1940s, 1940, like in the 50s. When did they roll out these seed oils? When you started to see them? What year was that?
Mid 40s during the war, um, when the ships with the coconut oil couldn't make it through the waters.
Mhm.
And so then they said, let's step up production of the seed oils. Prior to that, it was a small market. Coconut oil saturated the market. No pun intended there, but it saturated the market. It was known as the healthiest oil on earth, and it is one of them, along with olive oil and avocado oil. Sesame oil is good. I thought I better just get in the good ones. And ghee, known as oil of butter to some people, or clarified butter. But when the ships couldn't make it through the waters, then they stepped up the seed oil production and they had to market it as healthy and modern and can sit on the shelf, no refrigeration needed. And then the war ended and they didn't want to lose their market. And the perfect thing developed: heart attacks. So now they could go in, and when they found the plaque with saturated fat and cholesterol in the plaque, now they had the perfect place to jump off from to say, you don't want any fat in your diet because look at, we found that in the plaque. Goodness. So then they started slick marketing ads, lobbyists going to DC, great production step up. And the American people were told these are the heart healthy oils. You don't want these animal fats. You don't want any butter, lard, tallow. You don't want steak in your diet. You got to ditch the eggs. All of that we were told we had to get rid of, even though a decade before everybody was eating that and having no problems. So that is how we lost our way. And that is so ingrained in people's minds that it's going to be a quantum leap to get to the other side. But just remember, there are some great fruit oils. It's olive, coconut, and avocado. There's a great seed oil in sesame, and butter is a good guy, not a bad guy. And tallow, there are restaurants proudly advertising. We use beef tallow for our fried foods now because it is durable. It has a high smoke point. It's saturated, meaning it doesn't have the double bonds that will break under high heat. We have been told the opposite of what is truth.
Yeah, I saw that Steak and Shake uses now supposedly 100% beef tallow. I haven't been there. I mean, I think I've eaten at a Steak and Shake one time in my life. And they also are rolling out grass-fed, grass-finished beef June 1st. So I guess if I'm in a pinch, right, I'll look for Steak and Shake on a road trip. Uh, of course, then you have to, if you're really watching and conscientious, you're asking about what's in the bun, right? Because oftentimes these seed oils are in the bun. They're in all these
Oh,
goods. And so it's not easy to be healthy, and it's not easy to make these choices in today's world for a multitude of reasons, being overly busy, convenience. Some of them actually do taste good.
yes.
I mean,
Most of them do.
yeah, I mean, but you also, when you start to integrate more of these whole real foods, they taste less desirable.
That's right. They do. We have to be wise shoppers, you know? So I shop with a little magnifying glass that has a light on it. I
I,
read all
I,
the labels.
I might need it soon, actually. Which
Oh,
you have to wonder, like, okay, if you've been eating seed oils, right, has this impacted our vision, right? I'm holding the phone up further and further as I get older.
oh, all of this stuff impacts our vision. It impacts us head to toe at
Mhm.
the cellular level. So, wise shopping is what we have to be and vote with our dollars, vote with our wallets. You know, the more that they hear and see what people want, they're going to step up to the plate. I'm encouraged because now, if you go to the store, especially where I shop, which is Sprouts Farmers Market, there are tons of options with good oils. My husband said the other night he wanted some chips, and they had a great organic blue corn chip made with avocado oil. Okay, that's good. I mean, chips aren't the greatest, but once in a while, but that was a much better choice. They now have avocado mayonnaise, even at big box stores. And you can find crackers made with good oil, not seed oil. But we have to know at least what we're looking for, get our little magnifying glass out there or take a picture, or you can get a free trial for Seed Oil Scout app, and they will have a scanner on there, and you can scan the barcode and find out what's in that product that you're looking at. They also have a little map of restaurants in your area that are seed oil free. So you see these little green bubbles around where you live, and you can find a restaurant that doesn't use seed oil. I'm going to one tonight, our favorite Italian restaurant, 3 minutes from our house. They use olive oil. So there are options, and the options are expanding. Thank goodness, because what's happening? We're voting with our dollars. We're asking for better choices, and there are people now in business stepping up to the plate.
So I have a question. I know you've mentioned some healthier oils, and I know there's a lot of information in your book, right? You've said recipes, the science to support why transitioning away from seed oils is so important for the human body and our health. Uh, I know, and I'd kind of put olive oil on the shelf for a while because I didn't trust the quality. I wasn't sure if because there was, I don't know if it was Dr. Mercola or who brought it to the limelight, but it could have been somebody else totally, or I just found it on the internet. A lot of these oils are filled with filler. They're not even that pure.
Yes.
And so, but I just recently had ordered some olive oil from Tropical Traditions.
They're a good
And
one.
yeah, but like that's not all, and we had to order quite a bit in order to get a deal, in order to save on shipping. And so there were like several families that went in on this.
Hmm.
Are there brands out there that you mention in your book that you recommend? Because I know that
Yes.
for a consumer and a newbie, it's really overwhelming.
It is so overwhelming and do your best. But yes, we've got some brands in our book. For olive oil, I like Bragg's. I believe to this day they're still true to pure olive oil.
Hmm.
And just be as wise a shopper as you can be. Nutiva is another coconut oil brand. Tropical Traditions is good, and Nutiva is a good coconut oil brand um, to choose. So I don't know yet about avocado oil, what is the best brand, but if you search around online, you can find a lot of information there.
Yeah, you really can. The internet has been a blessing and a curse, right?
Yes, it has. It's both. And then up your omega 3s. That is so important. So many of us are deficient in omega 3 fatty acids. And what is rich in that? We're just not getting enough of them. But flax seeds, flaxseed oil, Barlean's is a great brand for that. Hemp seed oil, walnuts. Walnut oil, that can only be used cold. It's very fragile, so you never want to heat walnut oil, but it is a very good source of omega-3 fats. Chop up walnuts, put them on your smoothie, your salad, and you'll get some omega-3s with that. Fish oil is another one. I love Nordic Naturals and taking some cod liver oil before bed or Barlean's oil before bed at night. Is really a great way to start replenishing some of these omega-3s. And fatty cold water fish like salmon or sardines or trout also include some of wild caught fish in your diet. Those are your top sources for omega 3s, and we need to begin to bring some balance to our bodies. So many of us have gotten so far out of balance. What happens when you get out of balance like that? Not only does it affect your brain is 60% fat. You don't have good fat, it's going to affect your brain. It's going to affect your cardiovascular system, your skin, your immune system, your whole body, your gut. But we need to get good fats in our diet to replenish the cell membranes. Your cell membrane is fat and it is the good fats. But if you've got almost all bad, faulty fats, the body's going to use that because it's got to use something, right? It's doing its repair work and it's turning over. There's always cellular turnover and it's going to use what you give it. And so if you give it these seed oils, it's going to insert that into a cell membrane, and you've got a faulty membrane now, faulty cell membrane. So everything to do with our health, our vitality, our energy goes down to the cellular level. So we want good fats in our diet and to get rid of as much of these seed oils as we possibly can.
Yeah, I always tell my kids that you cannot fuel a car with sand. I mean, what we choose to put into our body is so important. And it's not just that, right? You could be in the cleanest of diets, but if your body's not operating right, if it doesn't have the nutrients to even operate right and break down the foods, it doesn't really matter what you're eating. Like you really have to be functioning, and your body needs all the nutrients and as you mentioned, the fats
Mhm.
and the proteins in order and the perfect amount of carbs in order to do that, so that you can thrive.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier the fat-free, low-fat, or no-fat diet. what a disaster.
What a
More in the
disaster.
80s, right? It really hit the scene, maybe late 70s, and that was supposed to solve our obesity problem. Instead, it got much worse, went way out of range. Overweight and obesity now is about 70% of our nation. We need good fats. We need them for satiety, that feeling of fullness. When you don't have enough good fats, you find yourself wandering through the kitchen at night going, it's an hour and a half after dinner and I still want something. What is it? I need something more. I'm still hungry. Well, maybe you didn't get the right fats or enough fat. About 30% of our diet should be good fats. And so we need them. What else do we need them for? Here's a kicker that they'll never tell you. Around your heart are saturated fats that the heart draws on in times of stress. C16 and C18. What if you do not have the right fats in your diet to replenish the fat around your heart? What is going to happen to you in times of stress? I can't tell you the number of times I've heard a story from someone saying, my friend's husband just dropped dead. It was in his 40s and he was into jogging and health and he was eating a low fat diet. And boy, the lights every time went on, thinking, I don't think he had the right fats for his heart to draw on in times of stress, like jogging. I can't prove it, but it makes perfect sense to me. We need these good fats, and saturated fats are not the villain. The villain are the seed oils, the sugar, the preservatives, smoking, all of the nasty stuff, the refined foods. Those are the villains. Those are the things we need to get rid of and get our inflammation down. That's what's causing our problem, not the saturated fats.
Well, I love what you're doing. I love your message. I think it's so important, and I hope that we can see a shift. And I really pray for, I mean, the globe, but specifically the American people to wake up. And just because it has an FDA label on it does not make it fit for consumption. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate.
Yes, it
Uh,
certainly is. And we can't trust the government or the advertisers. We have been through crazy eras. In the 50s, we were told to smoke camels. The slick ads said more doctors smoke camels than any other cigarette, and it helps to calm your nerves and helps your digestion. What a lie. Then we came to the egg yolk scare in the 70s, where everybody was choking down egg whites and throwing the egg yolks away. And you know what we ended up with? Egg white injury, it's called. The egg whites were binding biotin, and people were ending up with what is termed now egg white injury. We have, and then we had the no more mother's milk, no more breastfeeding era. We were told by the powers that be, formula is going to be better because we know exactly what's in it. And then they came to the conclusion, no, that's not right. We really need, babies need mother's milk for all these reasons, all the right reasons. It has been a bizarre journey that we have been on as a nation. We cannot trust everything the government says, or everything the FDA says, everything advertisers say, or even everything doctors say, because most of the doctors are not trained in nutrition. So we have to be wise stewards of this one body that we're given for life. This is more important than our car. And most of us treat our car a whole lot better. We would never put the wrong fuel like diesel in a regular engine tank, I mean, a regular car tank. But we put the wrong fuel in this body. We should have come with an owner's manual that says, feed you only this. We don't have it. So now we have to learn. And this is our ticket to preventing disease and healing.
hmm Yeah, and I mean, to me, our health is true is our is is true wealth. That's our truest wealth. Like
Mm.
all the other stuff out there. If you don't have your health to enjoy life, um, then it's just, well, not as enjoyable, right? But I gotta just add really quick. I know I want to honor your time that I was listening to a class on newborn care, and the discussion, this particular section was on formula. and the gal was talking about the different ingredients in formula. I mean, it's unbelievable, but very many of them have the seed oils. It's just crazy. It's unbelievable. And so when you tell me that, I guess I missed that part, that era when, I'm very lucky. My mother breastfed all three of us. And so I breastfed both my kids, my son till like 14 months, my daughter till she was almost 3. And I guess I just wondered, like, where is the common sense? Why would a God or whatever creator you think, why would a woman be created with this ability to do and it be bad? I just like sometimes I'm just blown away with the fact that honestly, women were duped into thinking that and believing it. I mean, I hate to say that, but like, what happened?
Mm, yes, and trusted what their pediatrician told them or their OBGYN or the media, whomever. We've trusted the wrong voices.
Mhm.
And common sense says just what you did. Why would a woman be created to breastfeed a baby if it wasn't the best? You're right about formula. There is a lot of seed oil dumped into baby formula still because they said, well, mother's milk contains so much of this fat and that fat, and these are the fats that have those fats, and we're going to dump in cheap seed oil.
Yeah.
Wrong, wrong.
I don't know. I guess to me, there's a little bit of this by design. A sick population, a well population is not a profitable population.
No, it isn't. If we were all healthy and treating ourselves naturally, you come down with something, you know which herbs or foods or soups or teas to take and which vitamins and which juices to drink. There's no there's not much money in that. Very
No.
little money.
Yeah. So I know your book's on Amazon. Do you have a website where people can check out like all your amazing work?
I do. Come visit me, juiceladyinfo.com, or you can do thetruthaboutseedoils.com, and that will take you to that landing page. I have a bunch of free gifts. Come get them. And there's a link for Seed Oil Scout that you can sign up for the free trial. That's on the Truth About Seed Oils landing page, and get that app and start becoming a wise shopper and scan everything and learn about the restaurants that are around you that are seed oil free. There's going to be, I'm sure, some ones that you really start liking, start enjoying. But I have also a newsletter with recipes, tips. Twice a week it comes out. And follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Juice Lady Cherie, Cherie. I've got reels coming out every day and fun things. And so come join me. I at least have one, but sometimes 2 or 3 reels a day with lots of good information and recipes.
Awesome. Well, keep fighting the good fight, Sherry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you too. We're
Thank you.
all in this together. We're going to make a difference.
We sure hope we will.
We will.